Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Movie Critic Rob here with the Movie Channel, and today we're going to be talking about the very first movie in Universal's Dark Universe, The Mummy, which stars Sofia Boutella and Tom Cruise. But before we get into the review, I want to just discuss a few things. The back shelves are usually full of something. They're usually full of books. I'm currently remodeling my office, so for right now they're bare. But don't worry, I'm just remodeling. I'm not going to go away, because there's a lot of movies this year to review. So, without further ado, with that out of the way, let's get into this. So, this movie actually, if you believe the, really, the Easter eggs in the movie, they're connected to the Brendan Fraser films, which I own, all of them. This is a great set, by the way. It has all 3 movies, plus The Scorpion King on Blu-ray, and there's an extra disc with loads of special features. And it stars Sofia Boutella as Princess Amunet. This movie is directed by Alex Kurtzman, who you might know from his days in writing the first 3 Transformers movies. Whatever your opinion is on them, I think not on Michael Bay, but on him and Roberta Orci is who you should either thank or have a bone to pick. But I think he does a really good job here in his turn in directing this movie, and this movie serves as a really, really good opening to the Dark Universe. This is kind of, if you want to compare, this is kind of the Iron Man of the Dark Universe, and they chose to do The Mummy, which I liked it. So let's talk about the story. Princess Amunet, and again, no spoilers to be found here. I'm going to give you the 5-minute review, and then we're going to jump into spoilers, but I'll let you know when. Princess Amunet, she was the daughter of the pharaoh, and she was groomed to be king, and a son is born, and she's forced to take dark methods to ensure that she will end up being king or queen as she was promised. And because of this, she endures hefty punishment and is discovered thousands of years later by Tom Cruise and I can't remember his name. I think his name is Nick Robinson from Jurassic World. The funny guy in Jurassic World who I'll get to in a minute. And of course, they released The Mummy, and mayhem ensues. Now, what did I like about the movie? I liked the surprising lot about this movie, and I really did not understand where the hate was coming from, as far as everybody was just panning this movie left and right. And as I tell you, my viewers, don't take someone else's word for it, unless, like, everybody's talking, because Batman v Superman, I kind of could read the writing on the wall, and I could tell it was going to be a disaster, and I went in with an open mind, but I got exactly what I was expecting. With this one, it was really a good movie. I love seeing adventure movies, and there is a difference between action movies and adventure movies, and this really felt like an adventure movie. I may actually do a dissection of what the difference is between action movies and adventure movies, but really, it was a really, really fun take on the Mummy mythos, which was really creative in all that it did. I mean, yes, it got campy at times, but that's part of the fun of the Mummy movies, and especially if you like the Brendan Fraser run of the Mummy films, they were really campy, but that was part of the movie. The positives of the movie, for me, really, Sofia Boutella, I was rooting for her the entire time. I know she's kind of the villain, but it's hard not to root for Sofia Boutella, especially because she just knocks it out of the park. I think she did amazing. The makeup job on her was ridiculous. And I like Tom Cruise's character. You know, Tom Cruise is playing Tom Cruise. It really wasn't much of a new character with him. But he was a great straight man against this Egyptian mythology background that the movie provides us. And Russell Crowe is one of the stands. I mean, come on, it's Russell Crowe. He did an amazing job as, and this is not really a spoiler because people know this, as Dr. Henry Jekyll, but there is spoilers that I will be talking about later concerning his character, so if you want to stick around, I will be talking about those. So what are the negatives? Really, for me, the movie, it was good, and I get, and that's not a negative, but when you're setting up a universe, and you're doing all of these things, and there's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. You need something like, you know, something special to differentiate yourself from the pack. And this movie, it was really good, but it had nothing other than Sofia Boutella's character, Princess Amunet. It really had nothing. No spark, no, you know, all the action sequences were fun, and everything was really good, but other than that, there really wasn't that much. And I really want to pause here a second. The guy from Jurassic World, the funny guy, not Chris Pratt, because he's funny, but the other guy, the computer analyst who's in this movie, he was boring. Like, just, I know he's the comedy relief, but he was boring. The jokes didn't land, and I know that might be a writing thing, but he didn't work. It kind of felt, if you've ever played Arkham Knight, where the Joker kind of comes in the middle of the game, and I'm giving away spoilers for Arkham Knight, and he's kind of like in Batman's head. It's kind of the same scenario with this character towards the middle of the movie, and unlike the Joker in Batman Arkham Knight, this guy doesn't do a thing for me, and doesn't really help the story go on at all. So there is that. So final thoughts. I really thought it was a really good entry to the movie. I love Sofia Boutella and everything that had to do with the Egyptian part. The human characters are just there, with the exception of Russell Crowe, who is ridiculously awesome, and plays a really mysterious character. It's a really good setup for the entire dark universe that they're going for, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they have next, because the likes of people that they've cast to play these larger-than-life characters are just tremendous. So I'm really, really excited to see going forward what they're going to do. So now I'm going to switch over to my spoiler talk. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to skedaddle on out of here back to the sands of Egypt where you belong. If you don't want to get spoiled, but if you're still here by now, you're ready for some spoilers. This movie has a ton of spoilers, specifically having to do with the upcoming movies, because you see Creature from the Black Lagoon, you see like a bunch of hands, and I don't know if maybe the Creature from the Black Lagoon in this universe is going to have a lot of hands, or maybe the hands grow back, because they had a lot of hands in jars that, you know, distinctively from Creature from the Black Lagoon. I love the design that I saw. I didn't see, you know, you don't see the face or anything, but I like that they're going. It's really classic. You saw a skull that had the, you know, the long fangs for Dracula, which Dracula hasn't even been announced yet, but I know they're in the process of casting him. Speaking of which, the Dark Universe has a really good cast. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do, because you have Javier Bardem playing Frankenstein, Sofia Boutella as the Mummy. Well, Tom Cruise is really the Mummy now. Russell Crowe as Jekyll and Hyde, which he appears in this movie. That was one of the lackluster things for me, was and I didn't want to discuss this in the non-spoiler part, because it is a spoiler that you do get to see Mr. Hyde. It really was just Russell Crowe, a little bit puffy, with I believe it was a Cockney accent. Somebody can correct me down below. It was so much fun. Like, the character was so much fun, but I was expecting something bigger, especially, you know, because Mr. Hyde's always portrayed as really big. I'm a big fan of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movies, or the movie, and he was portrayed really big, and that's really my take on the character. But I love what Russell Crowe did with the duality of the character, and the explanation as to how he turns into Mr. Hyde. I thought that was fantastic. I think it did a lot better in those 20 minutes with the characters, as far as the transition between the characters, than League of Extraordinary Gentlemen did, even though I like the designs better in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The big spoiler, I think, in this movie links back to the original Mummy movies, which, if you saw this cover, this is actually the Mummy Ultimate Collection. You see the book of, I believe it's the Book of Amun-Ra, where you have to turn it, and it's the Book of the Dead. Is it shows up in Prodigium, which is the company that Henry Jekyll, Russell Crowe's character, is the head of. You get to see it for a brief moment, and it's used in one of the action movies, or in one of the action scenes. It was really fun to see because it for me, and that's why I mentioned at the beginning, I think that this is actually the current Mummy is set in the same universe as the Brendan Fraser films, because those movies were set about 100 years from today, from this time period. So it's very well plausible that those things that Brendan Fraser's character did with in those movies kind of passed along to legends, and like everything does when a lot of time goes by, which would be kind of nice to have that permanent connection to the old Mummy movies, because they were fun, and it always, I'd like to have Brendan Fraser show up in one of the movies just to say, hey, it is the same universe. We may never get it, but here's hoping. Other than that, I really don't have any other spoilers to discuss. Like I said, the Prodigium set is rife with spoilers. I may have not caught them all, and that's very well plausible. So if you see any more after you see the movie this weekend, go see it. Go and support this movie, please. Please go and support this movie, because it was not bad. It was really good. It was a fun movie. It was an adventure movie, which we don't get adventure movies that often. So I think it's worth supporting, and I want to see what they have next. Bill Condon's Bride of Frankenstein is next. It's set to come out in 2019, and then after that, we're going to get a bunch of other movies like The Invisible Man, starring Johnny Depp, and a few others. So, and Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I don't think has been cast yet. But I'm looking forward to the Dark Universe. I think that the Universal monsters have been stuff of legends for a long time, and I'm really looking to, see what their time in the spotlight in this new Dark Universe is going to be like. So, without further ado, let's close this puppy. This has been Movie Critic Rob with the Movie Channel. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, do the whole 9 yards for me, because I want to get some more subscribers, and I want to get to 50. We're at 30. We're holding steady at 30, but I want to get to 50 and go beyond 50. Come on, guys. And now, I'm signing off.